These are the in-stock deals of the month, so what I consider to be the best deals currently available. So all these deals we're looking at, they're all in-stock deals, stock available deals more importantly. That means you should be able to order one of these and get the car relatively quickly, usually within a couple of weeks or maybe a month. The important thing is this is like landed stock or stock that's on order and it's about to land. If you go in and do an order at the moment that's not in stock, you could have very, very long wait for delivery with some of the manufacturers. In fact, some of the manufacturers are not even accepting orders at the moment. As always, we're looking at 3-year, 3-month upfront and 10,000 mile a year deals. I'm going to start off with the combustion engine cars. We've got a couple of hybrids in there and then we're moving on to some EVs just at the end. Great thing in this video is we've got some cars that we've never seen in the lease deals of the month before. Other thing to remember is that there's a link to Lease Loco below in the video description and pinned as the top comment. That's my link. If you use that to click through to Lease Loco to inquire about any of these deals or any different deals, they know I sent you and that helps support the channel. Also, if you happen to do it over the phone, please tell them that I sent you because they do log it and they do help to support the channel. I choose to use Lease Loco because I find it's the easiest website to navigate. It's really clear to find the good deals and I think it makes good video content. Other lease sites are obviously available. I choose to use this one and they choose to support what I do. So thanks very much to them. Hope you enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up before we get going because it saves you the hassle of having to remember to do it later. So please do it now. And if you've watched a few of my videos now, subscribe for God's sake. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with the good old Focus. This is the 1 litre mild hybrid ST line edition. So it's quite a high, sporty sort of trim level. It's only 1 litre engine, but it's 125 horsepower. So you're looking at a 3-cylinder turbo on this. Insurance group 13, so that's really low. That's not too much higher than most little super minis and things. So it's a really good insurance group. 0-60 in 10 seconds, 124 top speed. And 54 mpg is claimed. 273 litres of boot space. The boot could be a bit bigger in this size of car, I think, personally. I think that should be 300, but it's not, so there. But they're handsome little cars. They're actually available. So £997 up front and 254 quid a month on this. Price-wise, you know, it's been better in the last sort of 12 months. But it's also been higher. We've seen these up at sort of 327, 305, 292. It's been sort of more or less where it is at the moment for the last sort of 6 months. But the important thing is there's stock available on this. And it's a reasonable price. So I think a grand up front, 250 quid a month is a good car for that sort of money. Next is the Citroen C5 Aircross. So 1.5 Blue HTI, 130 horsepower. And it's the Shine Plus trim. Shine Plus. Where do they get this stuff from? Let's look at the numbers on this. So 11.4 seconds to 60. 131 horsepower. Front wheel drive. Diesel manual SUV. Group 18 on the insurance. Which again is quite a low insurance group for the size of the car. 720 litres of boot space. That's absolutely gargantuan. That is a huge practical boot. And 300 newton meters of torque, which is good if you're towing. It's very Citroen, isn't it? I know French cars sometimes are a bit love and hate with design. I don't think it's a bad looking little SUV, to be honest. Interior looks fine. It seems to have everything you sort of need. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think they're good, practical little family cars. 1154 up front, £304 a month. These have been in recent times 347, 335. 319. Prior to that, for quite a long time, they were about 250. But in recent times, this is a decent price. Okay, so 304 and 1154 up front. Right, cars we haven't seen on my lease deals of the month before. It's the Arteon. Now, I really, really like the Arteon. If you know the Audi A5, you know this because it is one. They're basically the same car with different hats on. Very, very stylish looking coupes, and I still think it's probably the best looking VW that they make. Nice interior, big practical hatch boot that's very easy to get things in and out. It's much like the boot on my 4 Series, which in practical everyday use, absolutely brilliant because it opens so wide and you can just dump things in from above. It's very, very good. And yeah, like I say, styling wise, I think they're great. I think it's a gorgeous looking car. The best thing is with this is the actual engine trim spec that I would go for if I were to order one, which is the 2-litre petrol turbo R-line spec, which is like S-line in Audi, so it's that top sort of sporty trim level. Okay, so price-wise, in recent months, these have been 438. Prior to that, sort of dropped down about 376, so more or less the same as they are now. Prior to that, like 402, 410. Lowest it's ever been is like 357, and these are in stock. Okay, so you've got these at 368 with 1100 up front, and these are in stock. All right, fantastic cars, great looking cars, performance is brilliant. 0 to 62 in 7 seconds on this, 190 horsepower, 2-litre petrol engine, as I said, turbo petrol. Boot space is 563 litres. When you think it's like a sporty looking coupe, I guess, because it's 4-door. 563 litres of boot space, fantastic, very, very good indeed. 66-litre fuel tank, and an insurance group 27. Honestly, I can't get enough of those cars. I really like them. That one gets a big tick from me. Right, next one. You're going to be blown away by this. It's almost the same thing. It's the Arteon shooting brake, so it's basically this sort of estate version, if you like. For those of you that are not familiar with the term shooting brake, it's like a kind of coupe estate, if that makes any sense whatsoever. This is a really good deal actually. So these have been like $469 most of the year, $458 up to $519. We're looking here $1,189 up front, $396 a month. Spec wise, engine wise, trim wise, everything is the same as on the normal Arteon. The only thing, 0 to 62 is 7.9 seconds as opposed to 7.7. The great thing with this 2-litre petrol engine is it's a rare engine where I've had it outperform its claimed stats on a long run. I had that engine in my Audi A4 and I regularly did sort of 500 miles in a day, 400 miles in a day on the motorway. And you'd be getting over 50 mpg in a 2-litre petrol engine that does 0 to 60 in 7 point something, which I think is really, really quite impressive. Around town, not terrible either. Certainly better than my BMW that I've got at the moment. Although, of course, this is 2-wheel drive. Styling wise, it's a good looking estate car. It really is. You know, it might not look massively exciting in estate guise, but if you put it next to the Passat suddenly looks a bit old and tired. Although, of course, boot space in this one, 590 litres, so it's good. Okay, there we go. That's enough VW Arteons for this video. In fact, we haven't got any more VWs, or indeed, let's have a look, in any more VW group cars in this video. Next one's a DS3. We've seen this one in videos recently. It seems to be always there or thereabouts price-wise. 800 quid up front, 235 quid a month. I'm not going to dwell on this one for too long. Group 15, 0 to 62 and 10.9. Combined MPG of 60 is claimed. 350 litres of boot space. 1.2 litre petrol manual. And they class it as a small SUV, but it's not, is it? It's kind of, I call it hatchback, but I guess you could argue that it's a crossover. Yeah, it's just hatchback. Very funky looking design. Bit Marmite on the exterior, very cool on the interior. Discussed them before several times, so I'm not going to bore you with it again, but still in stock or with stock available. Right, this one. This is Wigs. This is not an exceptionally good price, but there aren't too many huge SUVs actually in stock at the moment or with stock available. So that's why I'm giving it a mention here. The price is not fantastic at all. It was 515, 508. Then in July, they went up to like 580, something like that. And it's actually gone up again. So at the moment, I think it's the second highest point it's been this year, but it's in stock. And if you're in the market for a big SUV and you want one that's in stock, a big premium SUV, and you actually want it soon, then this is maybe an option for you. So it's the Volvo XC90. It's a Momentum, which is the lower level of spec, but on this kind of premium SUV, the base spec is very generous in fairness. Great looking cars. They review incredibly well. and always have since launch really. 2,000 up front and 604 a month on the 3-year 10,000 mile deal. You're looking at 480 newton meters of torque, so that's going to be great for towing. 235 brake horsepower, 7.6 seconds to 62, quite quick for a car of that size, with just a 2-litre diesel engine in and an automatic gearbox. So boot space, it says, is 356 litres. That's with a third row of seats up. It's about 800 with those down, which is absolutely gargantuan. And then with all the back seats down, 1,856 litres, which is a van pretty much. 71 litre fuel tank, which is good. No fuel consumption figures on here, but it's going to be thirsty. Next one is, we're onto the hybrids now. So that's the Suzuki Swace, which I did as my Black Friday deal of the day. The Suzuki Swace is a Toyota Corolla. It's just got a different badge on it, more or less. Okay, as you can see, very familiar Toyota Corolla styling. Little platform share between the two brands. I think it's a handsome vehicle, makes a ton of sense. Price wise, they were sort of over 300, now down 800 up front, 272 a month. Insurance Group 17, it's that 1.8 litre petrol engine combined with the hybrid technology, and it's the mild hybrid like you see in the Prius and all the other sort of Toyota platform vehicles. 0-62 and 11.1, 122 horsepower and 64.2 mpg is claimed. 43 litre fuel tank, so it's not a massive fuel tank, but obviously they have to accommodate those batteries somewhere. But 596 litres of boot space, so immensely practical and very, very useful. I really like the cars. I took a bit of a battering for having that as my Black Friday deal of the day, but I thought that was the best deal on the day. There we go. Next, we're not a million miles away from that. It's the Toyota Yaris Cross. Now, this is a 1.5 hybrid. Again, it's that sort of mild hybrid technology. Combined claimed of 62.8 on this one. 1.5 petrol mated to the hybrid technology. 116 horsepower, 120 newton meters of torque. Group 12 on the insurance. 36 litre fuel tank. So again, not a massive fuel tank, but it's more of a city car, this one, isn't it? 0-62, 7 seconds. So it's quite quick, isn't it? No mention of boot space on there, which is a little odd, but there we go. I think they're funky looking little cars. I think styling in Toyotas and Lexus has really started to improve of late. I think they're listening to their customers, which is a sign of a fantastic company, which we know Toyota are, don't we? They make great cars, although they could be accused of occasionally being slightly dull, especially in recent times. But I think they're listening to their customers and they're really starting to make some effort to improve things while still having reliable cars. They'll come with Android Auto and CarPlay and what have you now. Price wise, you can see they were way up here over the 400s, and it's just very, very slowly come down. They're just peaking up again slightly at the moment, where we're, you know, maybe 40 quid a month more than at their cheapest point. 1,000 quid up front, 1,052 and £290 a month. Right, next one's Mercedes-Benz C-Class. We did see this about 6 weeks or a couple of months ago in one of the deals of the month videos, I think. It's not too far off that price, although I've got a feeling it was about £550 at the time, just from memory. Earlier in the year, these were over £700 a month. Yeah, 702, 706, 690. As I say, they were a bit cheaper a couple of months ago, but we're now looking at 1,800 up front and 597 a month. And as I say, the important thing is stock available, in stock. So it's a diesel plug-in hybrid, which is very, very rare. Hybrids and plug-in hybrids often are mated to petrol engines, and it's quite a rare beast as it's a diesel plug-in hybrid. Insurance Group 43, so it's right up there on the insurance groups. Rear-wheel drive, 306 horsepower, 5.7 seconds to 62. That will obviously be diesel and hybrid technology combined. Combined all electric range, 33 miles. It's, I don't know. Unless you're doing really short runs, it's pointless. And if you are, why have you got diesel? Don't get me started. 50 litre fuel tank and 315 litres of boot space with the seats up. I love a C-Class. Great looking cars, and if you're after a plug-in hybrid estate, you could do worse. Right, now onto the EVs. Here's our old friend, the Tesla Model 3 long range. I still desperately want one of these after having one for a couple of days. I miss it like an old friend. I really do. We were 622 quid a month at the highest point. The lowest they were ever at was for 483 very, very briefly back in February. 600 quid is usually where they live, slightly north of 600 quid. But it did come down recently. You could get one for like 560, 578. They're back at 578 now. £1,700 up front, 578 a month. We've spoken about the Model 3, I don't know how many times. Obviously, I've done a review video on it, so you can go and check that out. But I'll just give you the headlines again quickly. 0 CO2 because it's an EV. Group 50 on the car insurance, so it's right up there. 351 brake horsepower, 406 newton meters of torque, 4.2 seconds to 62, and a combined 360 miles of range is claimed, although I think that's more like 280. Certainly at motorway speed, you're not going to get 360 miles out of it. Boot space with the seats up is 542 litres. You've got the front and the trunk, and they're both really, really usable spaces, which is great. As you know, I love them. I'm not absolutely in love with the looks of the car at all. I think it's quite a decent looking car, but it's a little bit froggy. But yeah, it's a nice looking car. Interior is actually great. It looks very IKEA and minimalist, but in practical use, it just works. And as you know, my time with that car, I just basically have a smile on my face for most of it. So there we go. Next up's the Lexus UX 300e. Again, I've shown you this in a million videos, so I'm not going to dwell on it. Prices is pretty much as good as it has been, I think. This one's the Takumi pack, so it's like the higher spec level. You can get lower trim levels for less of a price, but I think with this one, the top spec gives you just about everything you could ever wish for. And it's a good deal. It really is a good deal. 1,500 up front, 433 a month. 190 miles is the claimed EV range, so maybe 150 real world. Not great if you're working as a rep. Otherwise, get used to sort of grazing with your power, and it'll probably do the job for you. 204 brake horsepower, 0-62 in 7.5, and 486 litres of boot space. Very, very good looking little car. Can't go far wrong with that. And last, but by no means least, this month, IONIQ 5. Right, so IONIQ 5 did have that little dip where it was suddenly ridiculously cheap for like a day, and I'm sure it was a mistake. I'm sure an IONIQ 5 did not go for 340 quid. I'm sure somebody had a pricing mistake and it's just on here as the tracker, because there's massive demand for these things. They can't supply them quickly enough. 550 is where this thing lives in the real world. So 1,862 up front, 554 a month in stock. So you could probably order one of those today and have it to you within a few weeks. Rear wheel drive, 281 miles is the claimed range on this particular one. Obviously the real world's going to be a bit south of that. 350 newton meters of torque, 217 brake horsepower, 0-60 in 7.4, 0-62 in 7.4, insurance group 34, and 527 litres of boot space. You know my thoughts on these cars. I absolutely love them. I think they're very funky. I love that centre console, the fact you can move it out of the way. I love the fact that the glove box is actually a drawer rather than a weird little compartment thing. You can lay back and have a kip while the thing's charging. I just think it's a great piece of design. Very funky looking car, and I like it a lot. At this stage, give the video a thumbs up, please. You know that I desperately need thumbs up on these videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Also, it's Christmas and all that. The views are drying up a little bit at this time of year. But what you can do is maybe support me by using my Amazon link to do your Christmas shopping with. If you are going to buy something from Amazon, please use that link. And of course, you can go onto my website, notaguru.co.uk. And from there, you can buy me a coffee, which is always greatly appreciated. So thanks very much to all of you that have done that. Next one up this month will be the EV Lease Deals of the Month. I'm going to try and get that recorded today as well if I can. So if I can get that recorded, edited, and out the door, hopefully that will be with you sort of early part of next week or middle of next week. I'm getting a couple of other videos in stock today. We've got a follow-up coming on the salary sacrifice scheme. So I did a little intro video to that a couple of weeks ago, and some people have been kind enough to share real-world details, and I'm just really late getting that one together. So I'm a little bit behind with my videos, but I will be catching up today. What day is it today? It's Friday the 10th. So I'll be catching up today, and there should be 2 or 3 new videos out for you this side of Christmas. Fingers crossed. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please go and check this video out next. I hope you like it. Stay safe and see you soon.